Learning English through stories is one of the most enjoyable and natural ways to grow your skills. You don't have to memorize lists or repeat boring drills. When you hear grammar and vocabulary in a fun, real-life situation, your brain just gets it. That's the power of storytelling. If you enjoy learning like this, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you catch a new story every single day. Now buckle up for a story that takes place in one of the busiest airports in the world, with one unexpected problem. Noah had never traveled alone before. This trip was a big deal. He was flying from Los Angeles to New York to visit his uncle, and it was his first time going through a big international airport by himself. Everything felt a bit larger than life. The lines were longer, the ceilings were higher, and the noise never stopped. He arrived at LAX several hours before his flight, as suggested by his parents. He passed security without any problems, found his gate, and still had plenty of time before boarding. He checked the screen above him, saw that the flight was on time, and then decided to explore a little. He walked past duty-free shops, fancy restaurants, and tech kiosks. It all looked expensive, so he didn't plan to buy anything. But after a while, he started to feel hungry. Not hungry enough for a full meal, but something small would help. That's when he spotted a vending machine near one of the empty gates. It was a regular vending machine, the kind with chips, candy bars, gum, and bottled drinks. He stood in front of it for a minute, scanning the options. His eyes stopped at a chocolate bar he liked. He dug into his backpack, pulled out a few crumpled bills, and slid them into the machine. The screen lit up. He punched in the code. The coil began to spin, pushing the chocolate bar forward. But something went wrong. The snack dropped halfway, then got stuck against the glass. It didn't fall all the way down. It just sat there, barely hanging on the edge of the tray. Noah tilted his head. Maybe if he shook the machine gently, it would drop. He gave it a light nudge. Nothing happened. He tried again, a little stronger. Still nothing. He looked around. The terminal was nearly empty in that area. No one seemed to notice him. He crouched down and peered into the machine. The snack was just out of reach, sitting in the tray but blocked by a small plastic flap. He figured if he could push his hand through just enough, he could grab it and pull it out. It seemed possible. He pushed his hand forward, slowly at first. The flap lifted a little, and his fingers touched the corner of the wrapper. He reached a bit further. His fingertips curled around it. Success, almost. He pulled back. That's when he realized something was wrong. His hand wasn't moving. He had pushed too far. His wrist was now caught under the plastic guard. The more he pulled, the tighter it seemed to get. He tried relaxing his arm. He twisted it slightly. No good. His hand was stuck. For a moment, he froze. Panic crept in slowly. He looked around again. The same quiet terminal, the same empty chairs. No one had noticed. He took a deep breath and tried again, wiggling his fingers and pulling back slowly, hoping something would shift. Nothing shifted. Minutes passed. He adjusted his backpack strap with his free hand, hoping to stay balanced. His legs were starting to feel tired from crouching. He switched knees. Then he heard footsteps. A cleaning staff member walked past with a cart, glancing his way but not stopping. Maybe they thought he was just picking a snack. Noah cleared his throat and stood as best as he could, his arms still awkwardly bent inside the machine. He didn't want to shout. That would be embarrassing. So he waited. Eventually, a woman in business clothes walked past. She gave him a look, slowed down, then walked back. She leaned over and asked if he was okay. He nodded quickly and gave a thumbs up with his free hand, pretending all was fine. She smiled politely and kept walking. Noah sighed. The chocolate bar had fallen into the tray by now, resting just under his trapped hand. Close, but still unreachable. Eventually, he heard more footsteps and voices. A group of passengers came around the corner. He quickly stood upright, keeping his arm as still as possible. Maybe if he waited a little longer, his hand would just slide out naturally. Nope. After a while, his fingers started to tingle. He wiggled them again. The vending machine didn't budge. He tried pulling harder. That made it worse. He leaned forward, placing his head against the glass, frustrated. His reflection stared back at him, looking helpless. Finally, a young airport employee walked past and noticed the situation. She stopped and raised an eyebrow. Noah smiled awkwardly. She asked a question, then called someone on her radio. Within minutes, another staff member arrived. Then two more. They didn't laugh. That was a relief. One of them asked him to relax his hand and not move. Another gently lifted the flap from the outside, while the third guided Noah's wrist from the inside. Slowly, carefully, they managed to pull his hand free. He stepped back, rubbing his wrist. It was red but okay. They asked if he was injured. He shook his head. They also asked if he still wanted the snack. He laughed under his breath and said no, even though he didn't say a word out loud. His face said enough. They left after making sure he was fine. Noah picked up his backpack, now a little dusty from the floor, and returned to his gate. He sat down quietly, hoping no one had filmed anything. He checked the clock and saw that boarding was starting soon. He stood up, walked through the gate, and entered the plane with everyone else. He found his seat, buckled in, and leaned back. As the plane lifted off, he looked out the window. He had survived LAX and the vending machine. That night, when he reached his uncle's apartment, he finally told the story. And the best part? He showed the chocolate bar. One of the staff had handed it to him on his way out. You just learned a bunch of English expressions without even realizing it. Phrases like barely hanging on, gave it a nudge, and rubbed his wrist are useful real-world structures that you now understand in context. That's how language sticks, with emotion and memory. If this story made you laugh or helped you learn something new, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss a daily story. And now it's your turn. What's the most unexpected thing that ever happened to you in an airport? Share your story in the comments. We can't wait to read them.